Hey, so this is a review of the FEELWORLD LivePro L2 Plus multi-format video mixer. I've already done one on the LivePro L1, so I'm going to link that somewhere up there in the cards. This is not technically a live stream because my internet connection speed just doesn't allow for it. And I wanted to make sure you have decent to excellent quality for this video, because that's what I would expect from a tech review, which essentially this is. However, I'm going to treat this like a live scenario, so I'm not going to edit this. I might do a bit of color correction, I might show you some titles here and there, but I'm not going to edit it. So it's going to be a one-take video, which is the reason why it's longer than most of my other videos. Now, since this is kind of off the cuff from the hip, I went ahead and did a little overview, excuse me, to give you a better idea of what is awaiting you in this video. Part number one, as you can see right here, layout. I'm going to show you all the parts that I'm using right now and all the cables, which is also important. Next up, functions. We're going to toggle the inputs, explore the main menu, explore the FX menu, and the transitions options. After that, I'm going to show you how to stream to YouTube. Excuse me. Now, this is super simple with that thing because it simply registers as a webcam once you've hooked it up correctly. If you're interested in using OBS, for example, a third-party software, open broadcast system, check out my review on the L1, because at the end of that video, I'm going into detail on how to set up OBS with one of these units to make sure you have the best possible quality for your internet connection and also a stable connection. What the hell? All right. In this video, however, that's not what we're doing. We're going to only set up a live stream on YouTube. And after that, goodbye friends. All that's left to do is my outro. What's going on? So, without further ado, let's start with part number one, which is layout. And to help me with this, I'm using a second camera. So camera number one that I'm speaking to right now, that's the A camera. That's a Sony a7S III shooting as Cinetone with a 24-70 f2.8 master lens, 25 frames per second, 4K, 1/50th, shutter speed f2.8 for the aperture, and ISO 100. Now the other one, camera number two right here, that is my trusted Sony a7 III with a 16-35 f2.8 G master lens, set currently at 2.8, I believe, also shooting 4K, 25 frames per second, so the shutter speed is 1/50th. And let me check out the ISO, 250. Now this is my mobile setup. You could use a video transmitter and run this off a power bank to have this completely mobile. I still have this a7 III connected via a dummy battery to the grid and connected via a micro HDMI to full-size HDMI cable to the LivePro. That is fine for me because I'm just doing this on my desk right here. I don't need to walk around with this camera. But you could realize that technically to make this completely mobile. So first things first, let's start with the core unit, the L2 Plus. And to do that, I'll have to set up that shot real quick. Well, this is live, so give me a couple of seconds to do that, please. I had to use the 16-35 for this because the 16-35 has a better close focusing limit. The 24-70 couldn't focus close enough. So let's check this out. Let's go to manual focus and maybe switch so we can see what I'm doing. Yeah, that's fine. I can't completely get rid of these reflections right here from the window, but it's good enough for what I want to show you. I might even go to an f4 and to ISO 500. All right, so this is the unit itself compared to the L1. Noticeable difference, 5.5-inch touch display, much larger than what the L1 had. The L1 had a super tiny screen, tinier than the display of a camera, which was also fine because it didn't need fans. This one does, and the audio noise test comes later on. And it was fine with the L1 because all you could do anyway was check whether you're getting a signal and roughly, very roughly judge framing. With this one, obviously, you're getting a way bigger screen, which is much appreciated if you want to judge the frame a bit more correctly. Also, you can use the audio bars. You can have them register on each camera preview, which is also something that's awesome, and with the L1 could only be done once you've used an external monitor and connected the L1 output. With the L2, you can see that right on the device itself, and technically don't need an external monitor for output, which I'm still using. So let's come back to camera number 2. Back here, this is my Ninja 5. It's connected to the L2 output via a simple HDMI to HDMI cable. And this is what I'm using to record this whole video. That is something you don't need to do. That's just because I'm doing a tech review right here. You wouldn't need to use an external recorder. You could just hook this output up to any kind of display, a much larger one for that matter. It's just that this is the only way that I have to record this video in decent quality. So that's why I'm using the Ninja 5 back there. Then obviously this right here is my A camera. Check it out, connected via full-size HDMI to the L2. And all of this is my grid power. Then all the way up here, redundant audio, mini shotgun mic, Comica CVM VM20 goes right into my A cam, the S3. And light source simply uses the white wall as a bounce to up the light a bit. Then back here, this is the PC, the computer that I'm using to show you the presentation. On this camera, let's see if I can show that. On this camera, I'm using a Synco wireless lavalier, a Synco wireless transmission unit. This is the receiver, hooks simply up to the A7 III via the standard audio jack, and the transmitter obviously sits right here on my collar, and right here is the little unit, the transmitter unit that hooks up to the lavalier right there. All right. So these are all the parts that I'm using. Now the cables, let's get this back here. The cables the L2 takes are full-size HDMI cables. So depending on the cameras you're using, you should use the right cables instead of adapters. So A7 III is micro HDMI to full-size HDMI. S3 is full size to full size. My PC computer is DisplayPort to HDMI full size. And if possible, use the right cables instead of adapters, because there's less parts that can introduce image degradation. However they do that, some adapters just aren't that good. So if possible, use the right cables and don't use adapters unless you have to. Now let's check out the unit a bit more closely, because there's lots of in and outputs. And let's start with the side of the unit. Let's see how I can do this. Probably like that. Live scenario, what can I say? All right, let's check out the side of the Live Pro. Come on, there has to be a better way. Like this. Yeah. Let's say this looks all right. Let's use the crop. No, we've already used the crop. There we go. That should give you a good view of the inputs right here. Let's go to manual focus real quick. Okie dokie, there we go. This on the side is the Ethernet port. You can use a standard Cat6 cable to connect the L2 to either your router or your computer that is itself connected to the router or the internet directly. Once you've done that, you can use the L2 Plus software that you have to download separately to control the unit and control PTC cameras if you have PTC cameras. I don't. I'm using regular hybrid photo video cameras here, so I can't show you that feature. And for YouTube, you really don't need controllable cameras. That is live broadcast, where you would use PTC cameras like that you can really control in tilt, in pan, and zoom via the software. You have to use the Ethernet connection though to realize that. What's next? USB 3 right here hooks up to your computer. Now, it does come with a cable, but it's about this long. So if you're using a laptop and this L2 Plus unit sits right next to that laptop, that's enough, or right next to, let's say, a USB 3 hub with a longer cable to connect to some kind of computer, that's fine. But me, I had to use an extension cable because I had to go all around the desk and into the front of my little mini PC right here, and that distance just wasn't enough for that. So it does come with a short USB 3 cable. You would be well advised to have a longer USB 3 cable, like 2, 3, 4, 5 meters. Always good to have one like that, so you're more flexible when it comes to positioning the unit. Then right here we have an audio in. This takes a line or a mic signal. You could use like maybe a boom mic, an extra boom mic. That would be an option. Or maybe you're doing audio completely separately into a field recorder with multiple XLR inputs, for example. And you're then sending the signal into the L2 Plus already mixed. I mean, XLR doesn't make a big difference because this is a 3.5mm asymmetrical jack. However, you could separate audio from video, do your mixing, and then output from the audio mixer into this L2 Plus unit. Then we got an audio out that is for headphone monitoring, for example, right? Which is a good idea in a live scenario for the operator. I'm not doing that right now because I'm trusting the audio bars and the way I've set up the microphones. This concludes the side of the unit. It also has a back. Once again, let me set that up real quick. And this time I can't see the back of the camera, so I have to do it this way. All right, this needs to go. Maybe like right there. Let's set the focus. Maybe make it a bit brighter. Yeah, that should work. So as you can see right here, input number 1, input number 2, input number 3. This is camera 1. This is camera 2. And this is my computer. This is the presentation right there. This is input number 4, currently not used. Black screen right here. Then we got the HDMI out, which is connected to my Ninja 5. I've already shown you that. And then this is the power connection. All these inputs are full-size HDMI. All the ins and the one out. This obviously DC plug. All right. So much for the parts and the cables. I think we're ready to move on to part number 2. If you have questions, let me know in the comments about any of the tech that I've used. Let's position that mic a bit more closely. All right, let's move on from layout, parts and cables to functions. We're going to toggle inputs, explore the main menu, explore the FX menu, and transitions. So number 1, toggling inputs, super easy, super simple. As a matter of fact, doesn't get easier than this, really. Let me just place that right there. Okay. Reflections don't really look that nice. Well, that's how it is. Now, toggling, very simple. Non-active isn't lit at all. There's no signal coming in through input number 4, black screen, 4, black. Active, red. As you can see, also red bars, not bars, what's this called? Red frame around the preview window that is shown right here. Also red light below the button. Green lights, not currently on air, so to speak, not the ones that are in use, but available. So not available, available, active. Toggling, super simple. You push a button. That's all there is to it, really. And that's a good thing, because during a live stream or a broadcast scenario, you have a lot of different things to worry about, to think about, to time. So the easier this is, the better. Next up, exploring the main menu. And again, to show you this, I have to set up the camera correctly, or in the most favorable way possible. Again, here's what I'm doing. Okay, I can't get completely rid of the reflections, but this should be fine. All right, there's a plane, passing by. That can just happen during a live scenario. All right, should be fine this way. Now the easiest way to enter the menu, simply hit the menu button right here. And there we go. By turning this knob, you can select the sub-menus. There's 6 of them. We're going to go through them one by one. Push to enter. So input sub-menu shows you all your inputs, HDMI 1 through to 4. 4 has no input, the first 3 do have inputs. All show 1920 by 1080 Full HD and 50 frames per second. Now I'm recording 4K 25, 4K 25. Why does it show Full HD 50p? Not quite sure. My best guess is that this is just the maximum output. Technically 60, but in PAL country, 50. And Full HD is the maximum resolution. So even if you come in with 8K, this is going to translate down to Full HD. It's not going to translate up from 720p. Just to let you know. Let's continue. Second submenu, HDMI. Now LCD is this screen you're looking at right here. Currently PVM, that is the multi-view. I could also set this to PGM, which is the single view. So only the active camera would be shown all over the screen. Now you can switch that, but you really should switch that before you start your live stream, because if you do that during the live stream, your signal is going to black out for like half a second or so. So this should really be set up before you go live, you go on the air. Now I'm gonna leave this at PVM. LCD backlight, how bright this display is. I like 80 for this environment. You could go all the way up to 100, of course. You could go down to 38. Right here, 80 is about right, I feel. So that's where I'm going. Boom. Output. Now, output refers to the HDMI output of the L2 Plus, which is currently connected to my Ninja 5, on which I'm recording this whole thing. So for the output, I really do want PGM, which is the single view, not the multi-view. There's no sense in recording the multi-view because I want the edited version of this video. So for HDMI output, I select PGM. Format, now currently Full HD, 1920 by 1080, 50 frames per second. I could also go to 60 if I was in North America, for example, or I wanted super fluid motion, but recording 25 frames per second does not translate the output into 50. If this comes in at 25, no matter what you set there, you're getting 25 or less. You can make it 24, but you cannot make it 50. If you want super fluid motion, you need to record 50 and set 50 on the L2. Now this is already the max. It starts at 1024 by 768 with 60 frames per second, 1280, 720, 50 or 60, 1280, 768, 60, 1280, 1024, 60, 1360, 768, 60. Really the only resolution where you're getting 24, 25, 30, 50 or 60 frames per second is Full HD 1920 by 1080, which is what I'm using right now, so stays. But as you could see, we just blacked out. So again, make sure this is set before you go on the air. All right, to move back into the main menu, just tap the menu button again. USB 3, next output, similar to HDMI. This refers to the output right here. So if this registers as a webcam, this is what the webcam shows. Again, PGM, single view, or PVW, multi-view. Obviously for the webcam, you want PGM, single view. Again, what format? 1920, 1080, 50 frames per second. Well, since I'm recording 25, I could also set this to 25 or even 24. Just for the fun of it, 25. And again, we blacked out. So I don't know when exactly the audio broke. We're going for 1920 by 1080, 25 frames per second. this automatically. Something that I don't like is once you haven't done anything inside the menu for like 10 seconds, it just goes out. It just leaves the menu. So usually you are faster in setting something up, but for me, it's a bit of annoying. There we go again. So let's get back into the menu. USB 3 done. Audio. This is important. Volume refers to the volume for monitoring here with the headphones. Source. This is important. You can select any kind of input. 4, 3, 2, 1, or the line in, which is also the audio source that you can hook up to the side right here, or audio follows video. If you do audio follows video, it will automatically take the audio signal from the input that you've selected. Since I don't want this, since I want only the audio from this input, because it's the best one, it's the lavalier, I'm selecting input number 2. If I were to use audio follows video, whenever I change the camera, I would change the audio. It would switch between camera 1 and the shotgun mic up there, and camera 2 and the lavalier right here. Since I don't want that, because this audio in my case is better quality, I select input number 2 as my audio source. Then the external type of signal, the one that, then the external type of signal, the one that comes in right here, could either be a mic signal or a line signal. You have to know that. For example, boom mic to recorder is a mic signal. If you got a mixing panel, that's probably a line signal. But for YouTube, most people will have their audio hooked up to the cameras and use the inputs. If you want extra audio redundancy, that would probably be a boom mic or something like that. And then it would be a simple mic signal. All right, have we finished audio yet? Oh yeah, the audio bars. You can see them right there for every camera. I really like to see them because number 1, I know there is audio, and number 2, I know it registers correctly. But if audio is none of your concern, you could also turn them off. Me personally, I always turn them on. Next up, IP setting. Now this is really only important if you use the CAT cable and want to control PTC cameras, or want to use the L2 PLUS software to control the unit. You have to make sure that this has an IP address that your router accepts. Now, you can also turn on and off DHCP. Again, that's a network setting, not interesting for us right now. Then overall settings, language, well, English or Chinese, in my case, English. Fan speed, now currently set at 0, which probably doesn't register on any of the microphones. But if you're working in a very hot environment, you might need to use the fans. In which case, this is what it sounds like. Let me just get this out of the way. Now the buttons could be a bit more responsive. Like I find myself having to push the buttons more than once, a couple of times by now. So they could be a bit more responsive and easier to push. However, if they're too easy to push, you might hit them accidentally, which wouldn't be good as well. Now, fan speed. This is 0. I'm about, I don't know, 10, 15 inches away from the unit with the lavalier, and maybe, I don't know, 20, 25 inches away with the shotgun mic up there. So far, should have been no problem. Now, let's go to fan speed number 1. I'm going to let you decide for yourself how much you hear. Number 1. Number 2. And this is definitely going to end up on your audio track. Definitely. So for the scenarios like this, where this thing sits right in front of you and you yourself are the audio source, not really usable in my opinion. For other scenarios where you are further away from the talent, from the audio sources, no problemo, obviously. Just letting you know, big screen, more heat, a need for fans. So this is number 3, and this is really quite loud. This is definitely going to register on the audio track if you are about this close. And it's going to register even if this thing is a bit further back. As long as it's on a desk of approximately regular size, this is going to register. Now, if you're working in a very hot environment, that can be a problem. If you don't, I mean, so far, I didn't run into any problems using fan speed 0, which is where I'm going to right now. And this, for a scenario like this, isn't a problem. All right, that was the fan noise test. Something you have to keep in mind, depending on the situation you want to use the LivePro L2 in. All right, back to the menu. Setting, language fan speed reset. You could also do a factory reset, and down here you can see the device serial number. Since it's a touch screen, to go back into the main menu, you can also use your finger. As for going into the FX menu, which we're going to do now, because next up, exploring the FX menu. So this is all about setting up transitions, picture-in-picture, PTC, camera control, logo overlays, and chroma keying. The last 3 I'm not going to do because number 1, I don't have PTC cameras. Number 2, logo overlays, I'm not going to go into using the software. You can do it with the software, but this is going to be a whole other video, and this video is already going to be long as it is. And number 3, chroma keying. Excuse me. Number 3, chroma keying. I don't have the setup for that. Again, you will need the software for this. You will need to hook this up via a CAT cable. And all of this would make this video like an hour long. So if you're interested in that, I might make a second part specifically dealing with overlaying, like lower thirds, for example, and chroma keying. But as for now, what we're going to check out is how to select a transition, how to tune it, and picture-in-picture. Starting with selecting a transition. In the Mix submenu, you can select Cut, which just switches like this, the absolute classic. You can select Fade. You can select by turning the knob and lock in by pushing it. Now Fade, I think, works for most scenarios. It's just a classy way to transition. Now there's obviously a whole lot of other stuff that you can do. Yeah, it's personal preference really, whether you want to use these transitions or not. I guess you can do some funny stuff with that. Yeah, for example, this, if used with the T-bar, which I'm going to show you in a moment, could be a nice picture-in-picture alternative to the actual picture-in-picture function. Now let's select Fade, because I just like this one the best and it's a classic. Move back once. Go into the Mode submenu, and right here on the Mode you have 2 options. Fast, which is doing transitions via pushing the buttons, and T-bar, which we're going to look at in a moment. Fast is fine. Now Time, how long does it take to do the transition? You can go from 0.5 seconds all the way up to 5 seconds in 0.5 second increments. I like anything between 0.5 and 1.5 seconds. This would take a bit longer. 0.5 would go faster. I like the gold middle. I like a second. Always looks classy, I think, and it's a timely way to transition. Doesn't take forever. Now, you can also use the T-bar right here. Select it, and then you can still select the time, but it doesn't make a difference because now you're selecting or you are controlling the transition speed via this thing. Exit the menu. Now T-bar works a bit differently. Now it doesn't do anything. That's because for this to work, you not only have to select which camera you're currently using, but also which camera you want to transition to. I'm using camera 2. Let's say I want to transition to camera number 1. So T-bar being active, I push 1, but all it does is give me the preview on the left side, and this button is now blinking. With T-bar use, that's important because you know this is where I am and this is where I'm going. And now using the T-bar, you can do the transition. And you can do it slow or fast. You can do it halfway and back. It's all up to you. If I want to transition to camera number 3, push this one. Now I'm going from 2 to 3. Same deal. Pretty simple. So T-bar, let's transition to 1. T-bar is something that affords you a lot of interesting options, but I rarely find myself using it, to be honest. I just like to switch cameras and set up a transition beforehand. That's just me. You can do a lot of fun stuff. Like if you use a different, let me just go into the FX menu. If you use a different mode, like a different, if you use a different transition, of course, like for example, coming in from the left, for example, right? With the T-bar, you can do lots of cool stuff, like this. Here I am, there I'm not. So if your cameras are set correctly, you can at the same time talk to your audience and do something on a device like this. So that's pretty cool, actually. This is where I could see the use for the T-bar with specific transitions that allow you to do split screens. So that's pretty cool. That's not something that's used a lot of the times, but you can do it with this unit. And that is actually a use case that makes sense to me. However, let's go back and select a regular fade transition. And let's go back to fast and let's make this a second. Let's go out of the menu. And as you can see, this is still blinking. This is because we did use the T-bar, but since we've now set a new transition and a new speed, if I push this once, I'm just going to transition, no problemo. And if I go back here, the blinking is done. So we're back to normal. And that is how you do transitions with the Live Pro L2 Plus. Pretty cool. Next up, sure, my bad, we're still in the function menu. FX menu, I'm sorry. So we also got picture in picture. It's off. Can go like this, this, all the corners obviously. This makes the most sense. Now we got these squeeze modes. I have no earthly idea for what to use those. I mean, they look terrible. Probably a lower right corner is something you would see most often. Now, thing is, here's how to, I just figured this out. Here's how to do, I just figured this out, I'm sorry. Here's how to do the picture-in-picture. First, you select what you want. Let's say, for sake of showing this, top left corner. And then camera 2 is the main camera. You can select what other camera you want with the picture-in-picture. Right now it's camera number 1, so this is also red. 2 active cameras, 2 active buttons. I could also choose number 3. So this shows up with the picture-in-picture. What if I press number 2? Interesting. So this is this. All right, 2 stays where it is, but with the others you can select what input to show picture-in-picture. To be honest, I like the transitions alternative a bit better, but picture-in-picture obviously is very useful in a lot of scenarios. Not for me right now. All the way down here, you can select B or A. This has to do with overlays, which we're not going to do right now. Let's end picture-in-picture right here. Next up, PTC, just to show you the menu. This is where you could set up the cameras to control via the software. Logo, this is something else that you can only do with the software. You would obviously have to create the logo in like Photoshop or Affinity or the program of your choice, render a PNG with a transparent background and tell the software to overlay it. You could then turn this on and off and select the position right here. It also is a picture-in-picture, so once that is done and turned on, you could then turn on your overlay within the FX menu using it as picture-in-picture. I'm not going to do that as well because the video as it is going to be long as it is. Then chroma keying, also pretty cool, and a feature that the L1 I believe doesn't have. So if you're into that, this tiny little thing offers it. You can turn it on and off. You can choose orange, yellow, green, cyan, blue, purple, I believe. And down here you can further dial it in via a maximum setting, a minimum setting, and a margin, as well as the layer selection, because you have 2 layers, an A layer and a B layer. Well, I don't know why that doesn't work, probably because that thing is turned off. Anyway, this is what the chroma keying would look like. Again, if you're interested, let me know in the comments. I can probably pull off another video in the not too far future where I go into at least chroma keying and logo or any kind of overlay really. PTC cameras, not going to happen because I don't own any and I'm not planning on getting any. So, part number 2, we toggled inputs, we explored the menus and did the transitions. Next up, streaming to YouTube. And this is really super simple. Now again, I mentioned this in the beginning, I believe. If you're interested in using a third-party software like OBS, Open Broadcast System, for example, check out my review that I did on the L1 unit. At the end of that video, I go into detail about how to set up OBS, how to check the quality and the speed of your internet connection and set up OBS accordingly. So not only you're getting the best possible quality, so not only you are getting the best possible quality, but also a stable quality throughout your stream. If you're interested in that, definitely check out the video I did on the L1 because it explains that in detail. For this video, I'm just going to show you how to basically start a live stream on YouTube, for those of you who don't know. It's super simple because once you've hooked up this unit via a USB 3 cable to your computer, it just registers as a webcam, which is then usable for live streaming on YouTube, Twitch, you name it. Since I'm a YouTuber, I do this on YouTube. So let's check this out. First of all, since I don't need this anymore, let's get rid of that camera. Let's put it over here. Is that a nice shot? Well, I'd call that nice enough for me. That's the thing. Haha, there we go. Okay. That's fine. That's fine. Okay, so let's check out how to do this on YouTube. It's really super simple. Open up your web browser. Go to your channel. This is what mine looks like. Yours should look similar. And up here, select Start Live Stream. And then if your internet connection is faster than mine, which for your sake, I hope it is, this is going to move faster. However, because mine is super slow, we have to wait a little. So you've done this many times for your videos. I'm just going to wing it right here. Test. No thumbnail, no nothing, no playlists. No, it's not for kids. By the way, this is German because I'm German, but you're getting the idea. This dialogue is going to show up and you're just going to go through the motions like you would or like you've done 100 times with your videos. I don't need monetization for this test. I don't need to do any customization as well. Come on. And I'm going to leave this private, of course. Damn, this is slow. And I'm done. Once you're done with all of this, you're getting a preview. And hopefully you're getting it faster than I'm getting it right here. It can just take a couple of seconds. We're just gonna have to wait. I'm wondering how long we're gonna have to wait. Oh my God, don't let me down now. All right. I said I wasn't going to cut, but maybe for the sake of this video, I might edit this and cut to when this thing is freaking done already. Check this out. Streaming preview. Well, good enough. Usually there should be a preview right here. I'm going to show you what's important right here. Oh my God, there it goes. It's super slow. You can see why I wouldn't make this an actual live stream. It would be terrible. All right, there we go. Streaming preview. The most important thing right here, your camera, FEELWORLD USB 3.0 capture. This is the Live Pro L2 Plus. Microphone, default microphone, FEELWORLD USB 3 capture. That is what needs to be there. If something different is selected, select this. FEELWORLD USB 3.0 capture for both the camera and the mic. And then all that's left to do is start the live stream and you should be good to go. Oh my God, this looks terrible. Anyway, this is all going to be going on itself. Yeah, there we go. Wow, it's terribly lagging, terribly lagging. Check this out. Well, I can't really show you. I can show you with the no, I can't show you with the second camera. Okay, there's no way for me to show you what's actually on the screen of my computer. Well, let me Nah, check this out. There I am. There I am. Of course it's possible to show you. But you can see this is, yeah, because my internet connection speed is so freaking bad, it doesn't even let me live stream. But yours is going to be better, so yours would function right here. My internet connection is just so bad, it doesn't. However, this is how you would set up the LivePro L2 Plus multi-format video mixer for a live stream on YouTube. This is how you would connect cameras, how you would connect it to a computer, how to set up transitions, how to alter transitions, how to use the T-bar, how to toggle inputs. Basically, I hope you're getting a good idea how to use this thing, whether it's applicable to the scenario you're looking to realize. I hope you liked the video. If you did, make sure to leave a thumbs up. It's greatly appreciated. Any kind of comment or feedback is welcome, and I'll try to answer as quickly as possible. All the tech that I've used in this video is linked in the description. As always, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for watching, and hopefully see you again soon.